In the second year of my course, we were lucky enough to get funding from my college, from the university, to go on a tour of Egypt with my professor. And so we got to see, the monuments and the texts, the inscriptions that we were studying in person, and to really understand them in context. So you're not just looking at, a text on the page, you're seeing it on, a tomb wall or in a temple, and that allows you to understand, how did ancient people perceive these things? If a text is high up on, the very top of a wall or on the ceiling, it can't actually be read. So that affects our interpretation of it. So being able to see the material in the proper archaeological setting is really important. And, to be able to just experience the landscape, feel how hot it is, and, stand in a particular temple and say, hey, we can actually see this other temple from here. We can see this bunch of tombs from this perspective. And what does that tell us about this, these urban landscapes or these natural environments that ancient people may have been navigating? Seeing the monuments at different times of day, that was really striking as well, because, these are carvings. They're either raised up above the wall surface or they're sunk, carved into the wall surface. And so it interacts with the light. We can see distinctions where if texts were on outer surfaces of structures, they would be carved in sunk relief. So you have a flat surface of the wall, the inscriptions, the images would be recessed into the wall, they'd be carved out of the surface. Whereas if they're indoors, what you do is you smooth out the surrounding surface, so the scenes are protruding, and that's what we call raised relief. So you have raised versus sunk relief. And this is basically to do with the play of light, because if you're outside and you have really strong sunlight, because in Egypt the sun is really strong, what you want is for the shadows of these recesses to be captured, and that is what makes the inscriptions or the scenes visible and legible. For the everyday documents, when they are writing on papyrus, they would write in what we call hieratic, which is basically the same as hieroglyphs, but in a more squiggly line cursive style. And then in later periods, you have even more cursive versions, which are called demotic. I don't specialize in those, so I have a very basic reading knowledge of hieratic, but I have zero knowledge of demotic. But of course, I'm still able to read the hieroglyph. My qualifications and my training is in Egyptology, but over the course of my PhD, I've begun drawing on concepts and theories from anthropology and archaeology to kind of try to situate Egypt in a more global landscape. I would say to really strike a balance between, treating a degree as a qualification that allow you to get a job, and also, just treating a degree as something that really enriches you as a person, as an individual, because, it's very possible, at least, where I study in the UK, to study something like Egyptology and then go on and do things like journalism, management, consultancy, finance, law. It's also possible to just take advantage of, internship opportunities, volunteer opportunities. And that is what really gets you the job. The professional experience comes from, seeking out the internships, going to the networking events and learning about the profession you want to go into. And then the foundation, the skills are granted to you by your degree. But then if you study something interesting, it also just makes you a fun person to talk to.